Last week, Congressman Guy Reschenthaler joined us, Larry, because we were talking about Mark Fogel, the Pittsburgher who's in Russia in basically a work camp for 14 years, sentenced there for trying to smuggle in some joints because he has severe back pain. And
well, it was a legal amount of medical marijuana in the state of Pennsylvania. However, obviously illegal in Russia, but it was no more or less than what WNBA star Brittany Griner had been arrested in, and she admitted to having. So now the conversation is, can we get Mark Fogel, who originally from Butler, a teacher out of Oakmont,
right,
on that at least list in conversation?
And Guy has rallied the Pennsylvania representatives, Senate and Congress members, to sign a letter and get it to the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken. So that was last week. This week, he's going into a big meeting real soon, a Rules Committee meeting about that Inflation Reduction Act. Pretty interesting stuff.
And Congressman Guy Reschenthaler joins us on our Disk Institute of Pittsburgh Newsline, representing Pennsylvania's 14th Congressional District. Guy, good morning.
Gentlemen, good morning. Thanks for having me on, as always.
No shortage of subjects in our nation's capital, clearly.
Yeah, we'll talk about the president or the former president and that situation coming up. But tell us the meeting you're going into today. Why is this so important?
Sure. So what this is, it's called the Rules Committee, and it's super inside baseball. A lot of people don't even know that the committee exists. But what it is it's the committee that decides which amendments are allowed on a particular bill, how much time is allowed to debate between each side of a particular bill. And then that committee usually runs, well, not usually, it runs the floor debate on the procedural motions on the floor. There's always 4 minority members, 9 majority members. I'm one of the 4 Republicans on the committee. So today we're going to go into the Rules Committee meeting. The Republicans, what our goal and objective is to allow as many amendments as possible on this bill so we can try to, in our view, fix it or stop it, or strategically for elections, make Democrats take really bad votes. The Democrats, by contrast, their goal will be to limit the amount of amendments so they only have to have an up or down vote, and that is called a closed rule. So it's funny because a lot of people think the Rules Committee is the committee that tells people they can't chew gum on the House floor or bring in pop on the House floor. That's not what it is. The committee is really dealing with all the procedural issues.
And how long a process is this?
It can be hours sometimes. And remember, every bill that goes to the floor has to go through the Rules Committee unless it's passed on suspension, meaning you suspend the rules. To do such, you need a 2/3 vote. So there are votes that go by suspension, but any controversial bill, any bill that's really substantial, will typically go through the rules process and not through suspension. And then every member has the right to come and testify before the Rules Committee. That's another unique function. Typically, the people testifying in front of committee are people from the administration, area experts in the particular subject area. With the Rules Committee, you're always going to get testimony solely from other members of Congress. Typically, your chairman or chairwoman, the ranking member on a committee, or just the movers and shakers in Congress that come and have amendments.
That's fascinating. That's really cool. I'm glad you explained that. I'm really fascinated by that. But I'm also fascinated by what's happening in Mar-a-Lago. The former President Trump was cooperating. The FBI was at the property in late June, looking at the same documents that they raided the place for earlier in the week. The FBI, the Department of Justice, they have to come out with something huge on this, or that's really going to make the establishment look bad. What are some of the details you've heard?
Well, you're absolutely right. The FBI is going to have to show that there was some kind of national security issue at stake, which, just a side note, I highly doubt that that's the case. They're going to have to show that there was extreme stonewalling. They're also going to have to show that there were no other less intrusive means to get this information than going in and doing this raid. We will get to that through oversight and investigation. Hopefully, when we take back the House this fall, we'll start that in January. But I can tell you that remember, I was a former magisterial district judge. I dealt with warrants, subpoenas, et cetera, all the time in my functions as a lawyer and as a district judge. If someone is coming before you as a magistrate, law enforcement, and they're saying, look, we've got probable cause, we need to go into this property and look for X, they can't use X as a pretext to go after something else. If the FBI said they were going after archived records that should have been in the National Archives, which is completely weak tea in my assessment, but if they use that to go after and help bolster the January 6th committee, for example, that's improper, and there should be penalties for the FBI agent or the lawyer that made those assertions to the magistrate. Alternatively, if the magistrate knew that those assertions were false or were pretextual, that would be grounds to actually impeach that federal magistrate. I don't think it'll get to that level, but there would be reasons for doing that, because a magistrate cannot knowingly sign off on a warrant if he or she knows that the grounds are immaterial or pretextual, et cetera.
Well, I think we all want to know what it is they're looking for. We'll see if they found it, and there'll be a lot of continuing conversations about the subject. Appreciate your time this morning, Guy. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Take care.